Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. Really great to be with you this evening for me or morning for you. Today we have Francisco Milagres, who's calling in from Brazil. And as you can see on the screen there, some amazing people coming up in the next 7 weeks. And so before we get Francisco on the stage, I do have a few words from some people within the community that they've shared about Francisco. And the first one comes from Mike Lingle, and he just said, Francisco is an experienced EXO consultant. I've worked with him on a variety of EXO sprints, and he's always knowledgeable, professional, and makes valuable contributions to every project. We have from Suman Sasmal, one of the key reasons why I like doing what I do is because of the community. It is people like Francisco Milagres within the OpenExO community who make it very special. A true ambassador, a great intellect, a perfect gentleman, and always ready to help. I find Francisco to be very valuable to the community. He is an inspiration. We then have from Eduardo, Francisco has been promoting the exponential mindset in Brazil in the last 4 to 5 years, and perhaps is the most well-known name in the country when you talk about exponential organizations. It was a pleasure to work with him and learn with him. And we have from Cesar Castro, and he just said, Francisco Milagres is a resilient, experienced, and knowledgeable exponential organizations colleague. I would love to work again with Francisco in future projects. And so there were so many people who have worked with Francisco over the years. So Francisco, welcome to OpenExO Live. How are things in Brazil today?
Hi, Kevin. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. As we were speaking just before the session, of course, we're stuck in town. I'm based now in Porto Alegre in the south. Hopefully, we can travel again pretty soon, as not as much as we traveled before, but so far so good. Everybody healthy and focus on creating a better future for everybody.
Awesome, Francisco. So we always ask people right at the beginning, just to give a bit of background about Francisco Milagres. Where do you come from? What does your history look like? And then sort of drive that into how you became part of the OpenExO community.
That's great, Kevin. So I was born in the state of Espírito Santo. That is a state between Bahia and Rio de Janeiro. That's pretty more well known for global groups. And I moved to São Paulo when I was 18 to study at university computer science and master's in computer science. So I served through a range of industries at the beginning of my career, especially with networking and cybersecurity. Then I moved to the consulting services at KPMG for a while, and then startups, venture capital, and travel a lot in different sectors. But since in about 6 years ago, I started working with startups, innovation, and then I jumped into ecosystems of exponential organizations and new content focus on EXO when I jumped into the content of Singularity University.
Okay, so yeah, quite an amazing ride in a number of different industries. And so, what would you say is the biggest challenge to apply EXO methodologies in Brazil?
So there are a number of challenges that I can list, Kevin, but one I think is global, is because there is always aspect of culture, how we can adapt new methodologies, or you can understand that we need to adapt ourselves to survive in this rapidly changing world. So we always call this the immune system, how we can adapt ourselves in order to understand how we can adapt the corporations or startups to be kind of more resilient, more agile, and how we can respond to these challenges. But also, one of the other challenges that we have here is, of course, the language. A lot of topics are written in English, and there is a challenge in how we can work with global mindset and with global content in English. Of course, is a challenge, and that's part of my work with other colleagues in the community here, is trying to bring local content with local business case and content also in Portuguese for Brazil.
No, absolutely. So now, Francisco, I know you've worked on a number of initiatives, a number of sprints and other EXO initiatives. Is there sort of one initiative or project that you've been involved with that you'd like to share, and how it was really impacted an impactful project?
There are dozens of initiatives from several industries, Kevin, that I can list now. But one that I think it's recently more impacted and I can bring more tangible assets near, it was Mobly. Mobly is a local company that is already listed, and they sell household items, decorations, and furniture online. We did that sprint with Mobly 2 years ago, and it was very, very challenging in the beginning to convince them. They were already a startup invested by a rocket from Germany, so they were very agile since the beginning. How can convince this company on investing on initiatives on the edge or maybe in the core to transform themselves? And it was very challenging to work with a very dynamic team that during this project, they moved to a new headquarters. So they decided to move to a new headquarters during the sprint, and at the same time starting their first brick and mortar store because they're only selling online items. So we could see that 2 years later, that's usually the challenge that we have, how we can see the outcomes of large sprints like this. And we could see that they already doubled 2 times the size since we have finished the sprint. They implement a lot of the initiatives, and they are listed in the Brazilian Stocks Exchange now with almost 1 billion reais in cash to invest in new projects. So I'm very happy to see that this generated a lot of impact, and also they could thrive a lot during these challenging times.
Absolutely, Francisco. I can't actually believe that it's been 2 years since that Mobly sprint, and really so amazing to hear the outcomes, because as you say, generally you don't, those outcomes you see in time as things progress. But it's so great to hear that the initiatives have been launched, and the sprint process has been followed through. I can remember it was quite a tough one, like you say, with many challenges. But really good to hear that it's come out quite positively. Mm-hmm. And so in terms of current projects within the OpenExO community and beyond, what's happening for Francisco?
Yeah, I think there is a brand new information that we are about to release the version of EXO Foundations in Portuguese. It was a kind of project that I could fill in my empty spots in my schedule. I did that pro bono because I know that's part of our activity as an ambassador, contributing to spread the word. And we are just about to release these. I'm on a fine tuning of adapting the content and reviewing some translations and putting up some final videos that I should record soon and upload. And there is one other very good project that we are working on, is reviewing, contributing as curators and the EXO 2.0 book. And we hopefully might have 1 or 2 business cases from companies, global companies, a large ones based in Brazil. So that's one of the efforts, and try to coordinate with peers and colleagues around the community here. And I'm also about to release a local training that is focused more on innovation. I'm tackling to topics, of course, EXO, content like design and innovation and culture, but in partnership with a large media group. I will start spreading the news and details about this soon. So this is about to be released, so stay tuned for this.
Awesome. And I'd like to, I don't know if you noticed, I put up some of the comments coming in from social media. If you have any questions, remember you can ask those, but thanks for the comments from folks in Brazil, just sharing their congrats and their happiness around Brazil. and really driving EXO thinking there, which really is super important. And so, Francisco, in terms of those people who are watching, who are in Brazil and maybe aren't thinking around EXO or exponentially, what do you recommend to people out there?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Kevin. So one of the first recommendations that I usually do is try to connect with the platform. Register yourself at openexo.com for free. You can add me on LinkedIn and maybe try to schedule a session that we can hang out and discuss how we can collaborate with these initiatives. It happened 2 weeks ago when you yourself connected me with a colleague here from another state, and we are already designing initiatives to work together. I'm pretty open to connect and think how we can work in a more collaborative way. That's important, the most important part. When I hear someone that is open to connect and share and collaborate, I'm very open to discuss and think about future initiatives. And we hope to release soon the EXO Foundations in Portuguese. It is usually the best, the first step for anyone to connect with these topics. And of course, stay tuned with us also on future initiatives. Of course, we are thinking about certifications, trainings, but one that is I'm very thrilled about is how we can leverage from the initiative of EXO economy, tokens, DeFi, and finance. So this is pretty much new for everybody now. So if anyone is thinking about how you can connect with something that should be big within 1 or 2 years, maybe you can go deeper on these discussions and go deeper on these topics, study, spread the content, discuss, and be open to hearing new content, and maybe bring this to your startup, to your corporation, or to your studies at the university, for instance. That's pretty much the spirit. Be able to collaborate and thinking how you can create the new wave of using these kind of technologies to change your life and to change the community.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And Francisco, the whilst you are based in Brazil, and I know you're very passionate around Brazil. The one amazing thing about the OpenExO community is the fact that you generally working with a global sort of team, and I know you've worked on initiatives that have spanned the globe. So
Yeah.
What do you think it is about sort of working in that global community that really makes things alive, and how do you think we can get people in separate countries to see that? Because I really believe that's one of the real eye openers when it comes to what exponential can be.
Mm-hmm. There's a very good question, Kevin, and there's a very good insight on this. I remember when we were planning to do a very large sprint at Visa. This is a public information here in Brazil, and we brought the majority of the team from global initiatives, and I was involved with at least two.
Folks, it seems like we may have lost Francisco. I'm going to try and remove him and bring him back. So we should be getting Francisco back soon. Yeah. Francisco, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. So as I was mentioning, Kevin, so when we were at Visa, we brought a global team with global mindset. But of course, when we are dealing with a specific industry in payments industry, we need to bring the cultural flavor, how we can connect with the local issues. We are bringing technologies, methodologies, but how we can bring the cultural aspect to help the customer to transform themselves. So transform the key people, the stakeholders from the company. So usually we know that the transform methodology and technology are key parts of this. But when you bring people to connect with other people in the teams, they must understand the culture, the way of doing, and how the customer, the end customer, will use their product or service. So when we created, for instance, a project recently at a large oil and gas company about a year ago in Houston, I remember that we saw 7 countries represented on our global team. And I was very happy to work with Kashif and a lot of team members across. So Kashif, we worked together for 9 weeks, speaking with him, I think even twice, 3 times a day during the whole week. And that difference of culture, mindset, different backgrounds, that I think it brings the most value for customers. Because the methodology, you can attend a training, you can read a book, but when you bring different cultures with different aspects and different experience that you bring to the table, it helps a lot for the customer to transform themselves. And usually for customers like we had here in Brazil, like Coteminas from the textile, I even today had meetings with the companies or with some of my team members. We still have our WhatsApp group on and we share information. So it's good to be connected because it's part of our culture in Brazil, but also that we know that these personal aspects that helps these people to transform themselves and bring new methodologies, new mindset to transform culture. The technology itself will not do this for the future.
No, absolutely, and it really is about mindset, right? And if you can show that diversity of thinking, which also then converges into similar thinking, I really do think that's an amazing part of what we have within the community. And so, Francisco, in terms of moving forward, what is it that you are really excited about, in the coming sort of months and years? I know you mentioned around sort of the blockchain, tokenomics, DeFi, etc. But what is really exciting for you as we move through this year and hopefully post the pandemic?
Yeah, there are 2 sectors that I'm very going deep in studying, Kevin, because he's studying a lot. Because I know that telecom industry, internet media already suffered a lot of waves of transformation. But there are 2 sectors that I'm kind of very not connected, very more intimately, but I'm connected with my background and also with one of my roles that I play is I'm advising a large healthcare plan as a board member in an advisory group here in Brazil. So I know that thinking about healthcare, health, technologies, sensing, this should be one of the leaps for the future because we still need to move forward through the waves of using telemedicine or images only through the pushes of the pandemics. We need a lot of information, data, and sensors to correlate with data to create a more preventive health instead of dealing with sickness. And the other wave, I'm looking to the agriculture sector. So I've been discussing with Kent, and we remember how impact. We can see some documentaries. Just saw a new one yesterday about the ocean and Netflix. So, and we see that if you don't focus on the cultural nature and how technologies and new mindset can help transform and take advantage of these new movement that we can help on transforming these 2 large industries of transforming the healthcare and not the sick care for the future of this industry, but also take a look at the nature and the agriculture sector. There is still a lot to take advantage from technologies for this new mindset. We will see a lot of good things in the future, but we need to take the leap forward in this and jump a few stages in order to keep the pace to help transforming these 2 large sectors. So you should hear soon some brand new information about these 1 or 2 sectors that I've been working on.
That's fantastic. I mean, we have a number of people who are really into the healthcare sector, and I really look forward to a future of healthcare because we actually don't have healthcare still to this day in many countries, and the agriculture sector is definitely one which needs a massive update. I mean, there are some interesting things that are out there. most agricultural improvements seem to always come from Holland. But yeah, it's very exciting sectors, and yeah, looking forward to seeing that. So, Francisco, to close out, anything you want to share with those who are watching as we close out today's OpenExO Live?
That's very good insights. Okay, it's very good always to connect with you, Kevin. I remember that when we started this community, all in the beginning with 120, 300 people on a Google Groups, we are just the beginning of this connection. We are now almost above 7,000 people. I don't know the specific number, but in Brazil, we are just starting. We are just following the wave. So if you're hearing this in English or maybe in Portuguese and we would like to connect, feel free to connect on specifics, any social media that you want. We can collaborate, think about how we can work together on this. I'm very open to collaborate and think how we can work together on this, and maybe helping bringing new people to the community that can help us to be trained and prepared for even serve customers in Brazil. Because I usually mention that if we close deals with 2 sprints in Brazil, we will not be able to serve with Portuguese speakers because we do not have too much people certified and Portuguese speakers in Brazil. But there are opportunities for everybody to work, to collaborate, but also to work with global projects like I have been doing for the past year. So be ready, of course, to collaborate before, not be ready to jump in and make a lot of money in the short term, because that's part of the moving the community, but be ready to learn a lot also.
Awesome. Francisco, it's always fantastic chatting to you. Hopefully I can make my way to Brazil probably 2022, but yeah, would really love it. And yeah, we'll chat to you online again soon.
Yeah, soon. So very happy to be here and to collaborating with a lot of initiatives, Kevin, and for everybody that's watching just live or recorded, feel free to connect, ask a question directly for me, and it's always a pleasure to collaborate with all of you.
Awesome. Thanks, Francisco. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye, folks.
Bye-bye. So that was Francisco Milagres. Always great chatting to him from Brazil. And please do join us again next week for another installment. But if you are wanting to, you can join us right now at the EXO Economy 3rd birthday. It starts literally in a couple of minutes. If you're watching the recording of this, there'll be a recording of that too. So do join us at link.exos.2/3. That is the link I've just put in the chat. Looking forward to seeing you. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you again soon.